Another concern is that the buyer ends up paying effectively his competitors in an auction. What if one doesn't want to pay their competitors?
Right, well that's the nature of this auction, and certainly if you don't want to pay your competitors, then you can simply not agree to participate and take the resolution of the string contention to the ICANN Last Resort Auction. The problem with doing that is you've got the lengthy delay, and plus, because losing in the ICANN Last Resort Auction is so unattractive, you get zero. The bidding to be the buyer, to have the highest bid, is going to be intensified, and so the price that the buyer pays in the ICANN Last Resort Auction is higher than the price that is paid in the applicant auction. And so, two reasons you should be happy to pay your competitor for giving up their right to the domain. And the answer is their shared right for the domain. The answer is, as a buyer, you pay less, and the string contention is resolved that much sooner. So you get quick resolution, you pay less. That is good for your shareholders.
So what about the timing of the auction? Is this going to happen before initial evaluation or after?
That's a very good question, and timing, as it turns out, is a major issue, and one in which the applicants would have a variety of views. There's an advantage to having it earlier, in particular before the initial evaluation, and that is then under the ICANN rules, 70% of the application fee is returned to an applicant that withdraws their application before the initial evaluation results. The downside of the early approach is, which would be sometime before March of 2013, is that it could be that there's some applicants for whom they have a very low probability of passing the initial evaluation. So a strong bidder that has an excellent application would prefer to wait until after the initial evaluation results, find out that, let's say they started with 5 competitors, that in fact 3 of those competitors were eliminated by the initial evaluations and they're just down to 2. And then now they're competing after the March announcement of the initial evaluation. March, April, and May. It can extend for quite a while. After those results are announced, then you hold the auction, let's say in June of 2013, and then you know it's just 2 of you competing, and that actually seems fair. The parties that had poor applications that couldn't even pass initial evaluation are dismissed, and those guys don't get paid. So that's the case for doing it later, perhaps in June of 2013, perhaps even later still, as even more uncertainty is resolved. That actually is a fairly compelling reason, and so my sense today is that it might well make sense for most of the domains, especially those domains that are clearly of high value, to occur in June after the initial evaluations, or perhaps even later. But the lower value ones, for whom a sizable percentage of the application fee would be returned, that may be significant to those bidders bidding on low-value domains, and so it might make sense to actually have 2 auctions, one for low-value domains as determined by the applicant community, and a second set, which might actually be a much larger set, in June for the high value applications.